Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Subject is financial management. In today lecture is on capital budgeting technique, and we will specifically discuss net present value, which is called NPV. So this topic is exclusively on net present value. That is one of the technique of capital budgeting. In today's lecture, we will discuss what is net present value, means definition of net present value, how this technique is applied to capital budgeting in order to evaluate the project. Then we will explain this net present value with the help of example. Then we will move further to solve this net present value questions with in NPV in net present value solution. Mean we will solve this example and explain the concept of net present value. Then what is the acceptance criteria of net present value? How what are the threshold or what are the indication that will guide us to accept or reject the project on the basis of net present value? What are the strengths and weaknesses of net present value? We will discuss this as well. And net present value and discount rate relationship with the help of graph is also included in this lecture. Moving further, what is net present value? Net present value is basically net present value can be said is it is all PV present value of all future cash flow minus initial cash outlay. That will be equal to net present value in PV. So net present value is the present value of an investment project's net cash flows minus project initial cash outlay. Means all future cash flow will be discounted to the present value, and then initial cash outlay will be deducted from it. We will have net present value of the project. So mathematically net present value is equal to all future cash flow, but these cash flow will be discounted on required rate of return, which is called K. So discounted means 1 plus K raised to the power 1, that will give present value of the first cash flow when we discounted it with on the given required rate of return. That is second year cash flow, it will be discounted with the rate and for the second year. This is n year cash flow, it will be discounted and will calculate present value. Then this is not present value. There is one step, we will move one step further, which is we will deduct the initial cash outlay from all these present value. So what is net present value? Net present value means present value of all future cash flow minus initial cash outlay. We will explain this with the help of example. This is the same example as it was quoted in earlier lecture. Judy Miller is evaluating a new project for her firm's basket fund. She has determined that after tax cash flow for the project will be 10,000 for the first year, 12,000 for the second year, 15,000 for the third year, again 10,000 for the fourth year, and 7,000 for the fifth and terminal year. But initial cash outlay means the firm will pay 40,000 cash in order to undertake the project. We will calculate net present value for this examples. Moving further, NPV solution. First of all, what is K? K is basically discount rate, that is 13% in the case of Basket Wonder. It is discussed in earlier lecture as well. So Basket Wonder has determined that appropriate discount rate or required rate K for this project is 13%. So NPV is equal to all future cash flow for all 5 years. 10,000, 12,000, 15,000, 10,000 again, 7,000. These are cash flow for all 5 years. Now we will discount it with the rate of 13%. So discounted as 1.13 raised to the power 1, 1.13 raised to the power 2, that is discounted formula in means present value formula discussed in very first lecture during the before the lockdown in the campus. When this formula will give us the present value of all these cash flows, these future cash flow for 5 years. What we will do in the next step, we will deduct initial cash flow, that is 40,000. When we deduct this initial cash outlay, it will give us net present value. So moving further, the best way is this 10,000 for the first year. Present value interest factor will be extracted from the table for 13% and for 1 year. I have already told you the method that how you will extract present value interest factor or discount factor from the present value interest factor single amount tables. 12,000 now present value interest factor for 13% for second year. 15,000 present value interest factor for 13% for third year. 10,000 present value interest factor for 13% for fourth year, and 7,000 fifth year cash flow, it will be discounted for 13% for 5 year. We will get this discount factor from the table. We will deduct initial cash outlay from all these present value. So these figure came from the present value interest factor table, present value interest factor table for single amount, present value interest factor for single amount. All these amount will be extracted from present value interest factor table, but for single amount table, not for annuity. Then we will deduct initial cash outlay. This is present value: 8,850, $9,396, $10,395 for third year, $6,130 for fourth year, $3,801 for fifth year. When we added all these present value and deduct 40,000 from this present value, we get minus value of present value, which is $1,428. So this project give us negative present value. What is the acceptance criteria? Acceptance criteria is basically NPV amount, absolute amount as well. There is very simple criteria. If NPV is greater than 0, we will accept the project. If it is less than, we will accept the project. If NPV is less than 0, we will reject the project. If it is less than 0, we will reject the project. This is the criteria. So in this case, we will reject the project because the NPV is minus $1,400. So the management of the Basket Wonders has determined the required rate is 13% for the project of this type. Should this project be accepted? No. Why? As I told you earlier that NPV is negative in this project. This is the main reason. This means the project is reducing the shareholder wealth, because when we undertake the project, it will result in negative cash flow, overall negative cash flow. So the criteria is, if NPV is less than 0, we will reject the project. If it is, we will accept the project. When accept, when NPV is greater than 0. This is the main criteria of net present value, that we will accept or reject the project. If this project result in positive NPV, we will, the basket vendor would accept this project. Moving further, what are the strengths and weaknesses of the net present value? Strengths. Cash flow is assumed to be reinvested with the hurdle rate or required rate of return, which is realistic assumption, because all firms whose maintain, let's suppose in basket vendor it is 13%. So this rate is basically the rate at which the firms want to invest or want to get this return on their investment. So it is assumed that we will invest time value of money and then that 13%. This method also account for the basic finance concept, which is time value of money. TVM means time value of money. So the present value technique use time value of money as well in their calculation. Time value of money. Consider all cash flow from the start till the end of the project. So these are strengths. What are the weaknesses? There is only one weakness which is studied in advanced courses of financial management. That time that certain projects have managerial option at the end of the projects. Sometimes you may terminate your project a bit earlier while getting a better option from the third party. So time value of money neglect this this managerial option. It is this managerial option in the project is studied in advanced courses of the finance. NPV and discount rate relationship. We will discuss NPV and discount rate relationship. First of all, net present value and discount rate have inverse relationship. When discount rate increase and discount rate will reduce net present value. So this is, let's suppose, net present value in thousands, 15,000, 10,000, 5,000, 0 net present value. 0 net present value is the point at which ICOs means initial cash outlay and all present value of the future cash flow become equal. This is minus NPV, net present values. So this is discount rate 3%, 6%, 9%, 12% and 15%. So there is we will discuss that 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 what relationship exists between discount rate and NPV. As I told you earlier, that there is inverse relationship between time net present value and discount rate. So when there is zero rate, discount rate is zero, then all cash flow that have been calculated will be the present value or net present value of the cash flow. When we increases the rate, the net present value slowly and gradually decreases, and at this point net present value become zero. Why it is zero? Because all NPV is equal to initial cash outflow, so it gave us zero. Now when discount rate increases to 12%, it becomes negative. In our case, this is, let's suppose, our NPV, and this is the rate which we guess 13%. So this is called IRR. What is IRR? IRR means at which NPV is equal to 0. There are two definitions of IRR. When NPV is equal to 0, we call it IRR. Secondly, the rate at which NPV is equal to, all present value of all cash flow is equal to initial cash outlay. It is called, this rate is also called IRR. IRR means at which NPV is equal to 0 or all present value is equal to initial cash outflow or outlay. So this is our NPV at 13%. So it is obvious from the graph that there is a negative relationship between NPV and discount rate, even in negative relationship between present value and discount rate. The higher the discount rate, the lower the NPV. The higher the discount rate, the lower the present value. So if when we are increasing the discount rate, it gives us lower NPV. When we increasing discount rate increases, the NPV will be decreases. So there is inverse relationship between NPV and discount rate. NPV have inverse relationship with required rate of return or discount rate, which is K. That is the conclusion of this whole graph. This is all for today lecture. Thank you.